Hi and welcome to webinar number 6. And today we're going to talk about 3D for marketing. And everything we're going to go through today requires the use of a 3D model. And before we get started, you can scan the QR code here. And if you find it interesting, we will provide you with a free 3D model for one of your products. So you can start testing out these new types of marketing contents. But today we're going to go really deep, learning about what our other brands are doing. And as always, I have with me the one and only.
Hello guys, Matthias, Head of CS at Fibbl.
Head of CS at Fibbl. And Matthias, you are working with our customers. You're exploring different opportunities and options for them once they have implemented 3D. But if we start by setting the stage, okay, so I have a physical product. I turn that into 3D. And now I want to leverage this 3D model in different areas. Can you just explain what are the areas our clients are leveraging the 3D models? Just explain step by step how they are working and how they leverage them.
So I think the map that you can see here demonstrates what we know pretty well that you can do with 3D model today. So it's everything from pack shots to CGI videos, to advertising content, campaign content, and even on model images. But it's just a matter of getting in there and trying to explore. So these are the areas that we have seen that brands have been able to leverage the files that we provide today, basically.
And if we start, okay, so you mentioned pack shots. Give an example. How does that process work? Because we also know when you're moving into marketing, it gets quite wide. And depending on what needs you have or challenges you have, there is always a lot of questions from the client. So if we can go through, we start with a pack shot. Okay, give an example. Why are they using it? And how did the process start?
Yeah, so let's go into the pack shot area. So we have a few brands that are using them. One is Gant, another is Loki. And it all starts with us scanning the physical models. So instead of jumping into a photo studio, we start by doing a 3D model of it. And there's a lot of magic that goes into that process. But once finished, you have the asset you need to work and set up pack shots for all of the products. So just like the brands do today in a physical studio, we do the same, but in a digital, together with the clients. So we set a guide or a preference of or a template that covers everything from backgrounds to lighting, to shadows, to file format, naming convention, all of that things, all of the details that you need to think of pack shots. We set it up. We push all the 3D models through that pipeline, and out comes the same delivery like a photographer would have give, but in a traditional physical photo studio. So everything is the same, but instead of starting from the physical product in a studio, we start from the physical product and then we turn it in or take it in to a digital studio and do the same thing, basically.
And what have you learned from all the brands that are doing this? What are the usual challenges? Because I can imagine you start with a template, you make some changes. If you were to advise somebody who is just starting out, look at XYZ. What is your experience there?
Well, actually, there is more opportunities than challenges. But obviously, the first question that we always get is, can it actually replace what we're doing today? And to get over that challenge, you just need to try. And you can try small, and then you can scale up big. But what I have noticed is that they comes with more opportunities, actually. So there is new looks and feels and new ideas that can be realized because you have access to a set of workflows and tools that you haven't had before. So, for example, I know many brands that wants to try to replicate this high-end premium luxury look that Louis Vuitton has, Gucci has, and that kind of environment that those studios have set up. It's quite difficult to replicate if you don't have a shit ton of money and time to actually go in and R&D, how do we accomplish this look and feel? At the same time that you have more flexibility compared to before. So you might have your 5 standard angles that you have done always, just because you have always been doing that. Now suddenly, when you're not tied into physical limitations, you can try new stuff, and you can try stuff for a month or two, and you can always come back and reiterate. So it's not just a one-off handover. You can always go back and learn. So there's actually more opportunities than challenges. But challenges is, of course, to get the answer to the essential question: will this replace what we're doing today?
Yeah, cool. And then we segue into, like, because this is huge in marketing, everybody knows it's like video. Okay, so because we know that that's a big thing from our client as well, and in terms of content, it takes a lot of time, but how are we helping our clients now automate this process so we can produce different form of videos at scale? Can you walk through that process as well?
So there's 2 different kind of video purposes or processes that we support today, and one is more automated and another one is more manual. If we start with the one that we can help with pretty well when it comes to the automated one, is that just like you had the digital studio for the pack shots and the still images, we can do the same thing and replicate the same thing, but in animations and moving material. So, for example, if you want to have your product spinning in 360 degrees because you think it will work well on for a social media post, or for a newsletter header, or for something in physical stores, instead of just taking one shoe and doing that one piece of content, with the same approach like I told you in the pack shots, we set up a template, and that template can handle all the assets. So from one template you can push in 100, 1000, or only one shoe, and out comes this animation. So that's the way how you can standardize and really work with video content at scale to make sure that every product and every different touch point where you need this actually has it.
I mean, that's the biggest reason you would say our clients are adopting this process to these 360 videos. Is it the scale? Is it the speed? Is it like the content? Is it everything? What would you say like the biggest reasons for adopting to videos?
There's 2 things. The first one is the scale. It's so costly and time consuming to create videos for products. So costly and time consuming that many brands just skip that opportunity. The second part is that or maybe it ties in, but if we show this example where we have a shoe floating in a nice environment and it looks in a certain way, to replicate that physically, it's impossible to do it with consistency. So imagine doing exactly this video but with a fish line and this backdrop and this lighting. All the products will come out very differently and you will have no consistency. And so the consistency and the scalability are the 2 things why our customers take help with this from us.
And where do they utilize it the most? Like we're not going to touch on the e-commerce today. PDP is a big one, of course, but like social media posts, newsletters, ads. Like what are they doing with the videos?
Yeah, but you mentioned everything. So a lot on the e-commerce, a lot on the marketing, and it's everything from stories on Instagram to just advertising on TikTok to email gifts to swap out the actual image from to something still to something moving.
Yeah.
So it's we have seen every different kind of different piece of example, even in the B2B sector when they go to exhibitions and things like that. So we have seen just so many different examples, and I think we haven't seen enough yet. I think we've seen more use cases and more areas where they will try it out. Yeah,
for sure, because that brings us into the other different types of videos, the even more fun videos, the creative ones, the CGI ones with animations. We've all seen like the bigger brands do crazy things with shoes hanging in the Eiffel Tower, like many different things. And can you explain, because we also know that like if we say, okay, you get the 3D file, if you haven't worked with 3D before, you can't do anything with it. But what are our clients doing? And if you get a 3D file, what would you do to like start working with that type of content? Because I couldn't go into Blender and make something. I've tried, and I spent 10 hours, and it looks like shit, basically. So how would you address that? Like, okay, I have a 3D model, let's do something fun with it.
But just to start out with, everyone have seen these kind of examples that you were referring to, and everyone is blown away and wonder how it works. So it's something that everyone have been wanting to do, but never know how to do. And there is two things that you need. You need the asset, you need the 3D file, you need someone with a bit of 3D software knowledge. And all the brands that I have talked with about leveraging this wants to try it out, but they don't have the competence in-house to do it. But luckily, there are so many talented 3D artists out there in the world, and you can find them maybe around the corner here, or you can go to Fiverr, or you can talk with someone that knows one, or you have agencies. Like, there are multiple ways. It's not rocket science. People know what to do with it. Just need to find it. But the first step that I have found be the most easiest one to get new brands starting with this is to get the file, find someone on Fiverr, talk a little bit, and then you will learn a lot. You will learn a lot what you can do and what you cannot do. You will learn a lot of what the artist needs to have and what he or she can come up with themselves. Like, just get in there, dip the toes, and you will understand how it works. But one person, one file. Start with that, see how it goes. Yeah. Search for the keyword CGI on Fiverr. That's a good start. And get a file from us, of course.
Yeah,
that's a good start.
That's a good start. So fill out this, scan this QR code, fill out the form, send us a 3D model. We will give you a file and then connect somebody at the Fiverr. That's a good plan. And so can you also just give we're going to show some examples here of what our clients are doing in this space, because we know it interests a lot of brands. We get a lot of questions really early in the processes as well. Like, I saw this one. And if you can speak a little bit about what Loki has done, what Gan has done, and we just show it here on the screen.
So to start off with Loki, all of the pack shots are from being traditional pack shots that was taken physically by a photographer, has been transformed to a 3D process. So they send us everything, we scan it, we have the template set up, it's with their specific requirements, with double shoes and everything like that. And we just render it with an always-on approach. So anytime they have a new sample or new collection dropping, they send us the shoes, they get the same delivery, same consistency, same file size, same everything, every time. What Loki has been doing very well as well is that, or they have understood what they can do with this. So they actually desire to hire one or found someone internally that can do this kind of creatives, the CGI creatives. So every week there's pumping out CGI creatives, all the different kind of creative angles, different channels. I've got an email yesterday where they highlighted it. I have seen ads with it. I have seen social media posts with it, the organic ones. So just pumping this out. And obviously they also have the videos on all products just to give an enhanced experience, whatever kind of touch point you're meeting them at.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and we're gonna move forward in the different formats you mentioned in the beginning. So if we go to like ads, email marketing, that kind of stuff, how can you utilize 3D in order to scale the content production there with videos, images? Like what's possible when you have gone from the 2D to 3D, and then you face we have the newsletter, we have a lot of ads on Google. What would you do, and what are our clients doing?
And that's the thing. Maybe I'm gonna kill the webinar now with a simple sentence, but that's the thing. Brands need to understand that the investments that you have been doing up until now are one-off investments where you get a delivery, you use it, you don't want to reuse it because you feel like it's old use. So you go back into this rat hole and you spend more and more to do more new stuff. You need to find a physical location, you need to find a physical photograph or a physical model and things like that. There are some things that 3D cannot take away, obviously. Maybe you want those lifestyle images in LA with someone drinking a cup of coffee and reading the LA Times or whatever it's called. But what brands need to understand is that when you have invested in 3D, you have a reusable asset that you can reuse for pack shots. You can reuse it for campaign content. You can reuse it for advertising banners. You can reuse it for CGI. You can reuse it for animations and so on and so forth. So even though we have a lot of different examples of what brands have been doing today, I don't have the answers to exactly what you can do with it. It's just the imagination that sets the limitation. But if there was one key takeaway from today, it is the fact that you can reuse it.
Yep.
So one shoe into a 3D model, and right now we're listing like 6 or 7 different ways of using it today. But there are probably like 10, 20, 30 more and different creative angles to it.
Yeah, and like we're gonna go through, but like I think everybody agrees, like the 3D, the AR, the virtual try-on, like it's growing, it's gonna keep on growing. Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they've grown up with this technology. We don't need to go into that. But one thing I think is interesting, and you have more information than I do on this one, is like user-generated content, UGC. We know a lot of brands are using this one, this strategy, but we also saw that our brands are using the AR. Can you explain what are they doing to create user-generated content using AR? Why did they do it? What's the concept? And because this is very new. So
that's a very good point, because there is 2 things into this. There is an asset where you can reuse for creating content, and there is an asset that you can use to tap into new experiences.
Yeah,
that hasn't been available before. And one quite simple and remarkable initiative from our customer Rockamore was that they actually made a campaign out of it. So as everyone else, they were unsure what this was going to do for their business. So they tried out, started out small with I think between 25 to 40 products. They got it up on their e-commerce, but instead of just putting it up there, they also used it as an opportunity to tell a story to their audience and tell them that this is actually available now. Here is what we do for you as a customer. Here is how you can explore our brand and our products. So they made a social media competition campaign where they invited their followers to participate and share a piece of content where they either placed the shoes on themselves by using the virtual trial or by using the augmented reality placement. And it was, I don't remember if it was the best one or the most funny one or the most creative one, but there was some kind of condition around the piece of content that then had the chance to win a gift card on their store. And they got like dozens of contributions, and it was everything from people watching their favorite series at home in the sofa, trying the pumps, or anyone being out in the town and photographing a local monument or something like that. So just a fun new way how you can leverage the new type of experiences available from the same file, basically.
Yeah.
And obviously, when we talk about the content, what you can do, it should either be faster or better or cheaper. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it, I think, when it comes to this. Now we're talking about more soft values like brand awareness and brand recognition and like time spent with brand engagement. Like you can do something more and stick out from what the rest is doing. So I think that was a pretty nice and creative way of how to tap into a new possible experience out of this.
Yeah, and I think No-Name did something similar with the virtual try-on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I go back to like, this is the 6th webinar. The first webinar, you talked to, it was Nubik who was at the webinar, and I remember that we talked a lot about you need to dare to take the step, and you need to just try, then look at the data and try. So is that your advice here as well? Because we know that a lot of the brands, they start by implementing 3D on their e-commerce, and then they're like, okay, we can do much, much more. So how would you advise a brand with all the knowledge and experience that you have that want to start exploring the marketing side of 3D, what would your best tips be like? I'm off script now.
Can I give 2 tips?
Yes, you can.
So just to separate, like tapping into the content that you create and tapping into the new experiences. The first one being is, okay, where are we exposed today, and what do we do? And then just ask yourself or ask us, can we replace this kind of process, or can we enhance it by utilizing 3D? If the answer is yes, do it one time, one shoe or bag, and one piece of content in one channel, just to get a feeling of how does it make your day-to-day work different from what you're doing today. Are you saving time? Are you saving money and can spend it on something more fun? Or is something becoming better? Just try once, because we can say that it's easy. We can say that Loki thought it was easier, No Name thought it was easier, Gant thought it was easier. But try yourself, and then you will see what makes sense. So that's the first thing. Just find a format that you think you can replace. That would be my first tip. Then when it comes to if you're interested about tapping into these new experiences, think of what are your key initiatives from or challenges from a marketing perspective, the upcoming 3 months or 2 months, even 1 month, because it isn't hard to try it. You should just be able to get yourself out there, dare to do something wrong, and just see how it works. So just think of, okay, what are we trying to accomplish here? Are we struggling with the click-through rate in emails, or are we struggling with high CPMs in our ads, or are we striving to create engagement in organic social? Identify that first, and then just look at the opportunities that is out there for the new type of experiences, and ask yourself or ask us, and we can bounce together, what can we try here to accomplish what you mentioned was the problem.
Yeah.
As one time, one specific activity, just to get a feeling of how does it change your day-to-day work, because it needs to be better or cheaper or save you time. Otherwise, why are we doing this?
And is that the way, like the brands that you're working with right now, or clients, is that the way they are thinking? Have they come even further? That is like, this is a strategy, we know what we're going to do? Or is it like you say, you start small and then you keep adding and processes and workflows, not just like we need to create some more content here, and then, you know, and like everybody needs to be involved, and like, please share just a little bit about the thinking of the clients that have done the most in this space.
To answer your question short, no.
Yeah.
They are not thinking like that. So for example, no one is on a day-to-day base thinking, how can we do CGI AdWords, for example. But every one of them, or many of them, wants to try it because it's new and cool. And then we are here to help them and understand, okay, so what does this actually tie back into? So I wouldn't say, like, the key takeaway is that, okay, you were inspired by all of this. Don't think about how this whole marketing mix is gonna look like from 12 months from now. Don't think of that. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So do as every other customer has done. Find out what's the most important first. It might not even be marketing, even though this is a marketing webinar. It might be the e-commerce, or vice versa. Just figure that out first. Then map out how you can just do it one time, so you can feel the difference yourself. Because that is the thing that made all of these brands that we mentioned today. They tried it, and then they do more. But they wouldn't start from here. They need to understand the difference first themselves. So that would be my main tip on like, just get out of it, try it one time on a small scale, just so you see how it works.
Understood. And
also, don't forget that it is a reusable asset. So, for example, if you try one CGI advert, and let's say you get the shoe swinging from the Eiffel Tower, and it doesn't work, it might not be the format itself. It might be the creative angle, just as your regular campaign shootings is going. Try the what is it called? The Triumph bow?
Yeah,
in
I don't know.
Berlin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Try that one. it might work better because it has a localization thing. So also think of this as a reusable asset to try many things and to fail fast and learn from it. That would also be another.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I want to touch on like communication on an e-commerce in marketing. Like we all know, communication it's hard. It's hard to communicate. And one thing that we have discussed before is when you can provide new experiences, you can also change the communication. And can you give some examples on how brands that now have virtual try-on, AR, 3D viewer, like how the communication in their marketing strategies also now differs?
Yeah, I think we can show a very good and clear example from the Dutch brand Royal Republic, who sent out an entire newsletter or email about this, where the whole messaging was like, obsess about every detail. So when you have the 3D viewer, you have the virtual try-on, you have the AR, and you have the new type of tools and content available for the consumer, you should also educate them and say that they should be obsessed about everything, because all of us just want the end consumer to make a right decision, whatever that should be, to buy it or not buy it.
Yeah.
And by saying to them, here are the tools that we provide to you to make a well-informed decision, that is a unique messaging that hasn't been possible before, and that is selling without selling, because naturally they will start thinking, okay, can I have this kind of experiences? Do I have these tools at competitor X or Y? So I think that's a really good example of how you can really not only think about the hard KPIs, but also how you can turn that into a story of what you're doing to impact the world for the better.
Yeah, because we see so many, like everybody's bombarded daily with shop now, shop here,
discount,
buy now, 10% off, blah. And then you come to a page where it says, make sure you try it before.
Exactly.
Or like, please experience every detail here. So it's a really good example. And I've seen more examples, especially like on Instagram, instead of, then you have some feature and then a totally different communication. It's also, it's very different from how we are used to these brands communicate.
Yeah.
So interesting point that you can get that in both like the email marketing, the social media, like on your site, you can communicate, you can have a tab on, like, you have these tools, please use them.
Yeah, exactly.
I want you to find the right product for you. I don't want you to return it.
Exactly.
I want you to, even if you don't like it, don't buy it.
I don't remember the brand now, but I did talk with one about this. They have like an automatic trigger that anytime you add the same product twice or two very similar product twice to your cart, they send a message to them. Are you sure about this? Like, did you watch our size guide, or did you watch this piece of content?
Yeah.
And that was specifically for sizing, I think, when it comes to footwear.
Yeah.
But they were also thinking about doing this for the try-on, to make sure that try them, so you really get the full picture. Does this fit your trousers? Is it your kind of silhouette? And then, you might have a reason to buy two anyway, but then you at least do something to make a better impact for the brand, marginal-wise, the world return-wise, and the customer's experience-wise. Yeah,
it's I think we're going to learn more the next like 12, 24 months in this space as well. But if we go and talk about like the big guys in, Meta, Google, and we know that they are releasing new features on new markets, new formats, like a lot of things are happening in this space, and we do not have a crystal ball. But what do you think is going to happen in the industry of 3D, and especially marketing? Because if Google, which they now have for footwear, but just in some markets, and this is like, we don't have it in Sweden, we don't have it, they have it in the US. But what do you think, what do you see, and what's your best guess with what's going to happen in the next 3 years with the big platforms and in connection to utilizing the 3D models in Apple Vision Pro, Meta, Google? What do you think?
I don't know. But what I do know is that you will have a benefit from having your assortment in 3D. All the formats that they are tapping into, that are being mentioned and reported in on upcoming things.
Because Snapchat, they launched their goggles here this week. Yeah,
exactly. And you have like, it feels like we had some kind of video era previously. Now we're on some kind of 3D and AR and meta area or era. But I just heard the other day that it's just now for some specific markets that you're gonna have dynamic product ads on Meta with video that hasn't been available before. And now when it's gonna come, I will bet that all the marketing departments and e-com departments are like, okay, how do we make sure that we have product videos on everything? And they start to think of that now when it comes. And that is what I mean. Like, I don't know exactly how it's going to look like.
No one does.
No. But all the channels, all the formats, everything is pointing towards that it's going to be easier if you have a 3D model. Yeah. Even if it's something traditional as pack shots or a video animation, or it's something completely new that you can experience through Vision Pro or Snapchat goggles or whatever it may be. So my tip is to start out small now with what you know. Try to just feel the difference yourself, and then continue if it makes sense, and then you will be well prepared for whatever comes.
Yeah, and just that space, like, okay, we send Fibbl a shoe, and we get a 3D model, we do some cool video or something, like we dip the toe, we try it. Let's say, okay, we want to take this to the next level. How would you recommend like that process internally be for that company? Because they will have, let's say they have a head of production, they have a studio, a head of studio, e-commerce, marketing, like many different people in different departments can utilize the 3D model. But we also know with big companies, you know, it's hard to get everybody aligned to even, let's say marketing does that here, maybe e-commerce doesn't know. Like that's just one example, but how would you like give the best tips on how to, okay, let's take a collected approach to 3D with multiple departments. You mentioned B2B. We're not going to talk about B2B, but that's a big one as well. A lot of brands are looking into, you know, the samples and all of that stuff. A broad question, but sorry.
Yeah, broad and very tricky. But I will say that don't stress about the overview and the entire holistic view of how is department X, Y, and Z gonna leverage this file. Think of what's important for you who are watching this right now, and what you can do now, because most likely there's good reasons to believe that it can help you here and now. Then there are more and more brands that are tapping into this and jumping onto this and coming with new examples. So I think by time it will also come a natural need, or it will become, we will have more examples, visual examples of how to leverage it within different departments. But like, if you have the time and energy, I think personally you could benefit a lot from being the 3D champion or driver internally. Because one day or later, we're going to be having roles that are responsible for a 3D strategy. Because it taps into the sustainability goals, it taps into the sales and growth goals, and so on. So if you feel like you have the time, energy, and knowledge to drive that internally and get all the departments jump on right away and try something, do it. But just remember to start small.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And by that note, I have gone off script too many times, so we are ending the webinar here. We hope that you who have gotten this far have gotten some like factual knowledge of how you can think and how you can leverage the 3D model in your marketing efforts and in your marketing mix. Both me and Matthias, especially Matthias, you will find us here on, especially on LinkedIn. You can just send us a message. Otherwise, the email address is somewhere around here. And we thank you for listening, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And with that said, we're then looking forward to webinar number 7 in 1 month's time. So take care and thanks.
Thank you.